Okay, everyone, we can go ahead and get started. The date is April 2022, and the time now is 7:02 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Springfield City Council. Madam Clerk, would you please be so kind and call the roll for us this evening?
Counselor Perez,
Present.
present. Counselor Letterman. Absent. Counselor Kern,
Present.
present. Counselor Walsh. Counselor Walsh,
I am muted. Present.
present. Counselor Brown,
Present.
present. Counselor Davila,
Present.
present. Counselor Hurst,
Present.
present. Counselor Edwards,
Present.
present. Counselor Allen, absent. Counselor Govan,
Present.
present. Counselor Fenton, absent. Counselor Whitfield,
Present.
present. Counselor Williams.
Present. Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councilor Letterman?
Counselor Letterman,
Present.
present.
Madam Clerk, can you please recognize Councilor Fenton?
Counselor Fenton,
Present.
present.
Madam Clerk, can you also please recognize Councilor Allen?
Counselor Allen, Counselor
Counselor
Allen,
All right, unmute. Present, thank you.
present. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Will our councilors and guests please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
of America.
and to
The Republic.
for which it stands,
Stand
one
One
nation, under God,
indivisible.
with liberty and
justice.
justice.
For all.
Thank you, everyone. With that, we'll get started with any reports of committee. Are there any reports of committee this evening? Councilor Allen?
Thanks, Mr. President. I don't have a report of committee, but I do have something I want to mention here. I'd rather do it at the end of the committee reports, if that's all right.
Sure.
It's good news. It's good news. So,
Sure. Are there any other reports of committee this evening? Seeing none, Councilor Allen, won't you go ahead?
okay, thank you. Just an update on the Eversource personal property tax situation that Councilor Fenton and I brought up to this body in August of 2021. And, mentioning that they were 10 years behind or so in paying their personal property tax. We've been staying on that issue and just wanted to report that the appeals court, this thing with the appellate tax board had already ruled that they should pay their 2012 and 2013 taxes. They appealed that. It went to the appeals court about 6 or 8 weeks ago. We got a ruling on Friday that we won again. Eversource lost again. So they have to, I believe they'll have to, they can appeal to the Supreme Judicial Court. But the last time they tried that with Boston, the Supreme Judicial Court did not accept it. So they could still try to appeal to the Supreme Judicial Court. But at any rate, the good news is that our position was upheld one more time. Now, they're still several years behind, and it doesn't mean they're necessarily going to write us a check tomorrow, but it does confirm that what we're doing, our position on it is right. It has been supported by the courts consistently time and time again. So I just wanted to update everybody. Councilor Fenton and I are going to put out, we've had a couple discussions on this today with TJ, et cetera, and we're going to put out a press release tomorrow with just the facts of what's happened and bring everybody up to speed. So we're working on that and hopefully get a press release out tomorrow.
Great. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you, Counselor
Thank
Allen,
you.
for sharing that great news. And I'm sure if there's any other information that needs to be discussed, it can happen through the one of our subcommittees, probably most preferably maintenance and development. So, Counselor Whitfield, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks. I just have one question. Can you remind us on the amount, Counselor Allen?
Well, the total amount that they owe, that Eversource owes the city of Springfield, is in the vicinity of 45 million. And that's a breakdown of, they pay some every year. They do pay some every year, but they never pay the full amount. But generally, it's in the vicinity of $45 million.
Well, thank you to you and Counselor Fenton so much for the due diligence and staying on top of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Letterman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually had a committee report. I just didn't get my hand fast enough earlier. So if there's more on Counselor Allen's, I'll defer.
No, I'm all set. Just wanted to get that info out, and you guys shall receive the press release tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow. We're still working with the assessors on your exact numbers and stuff. So we should get it out tomorrow at the latest Wednesday.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. President and Counselor Allen. I just had a couple of quick committee reports, and I'll keep them brief. We did have a Maintenance and Development Committee meeting on March 31st. We had that meeting with the members of the committee, Counselor Perez and Counselor Curran, and we were joined by our guest, which was Andy Doty, the CIO for the city of Springfield. He was giving us an update on the study that's being conducted for feasibility of installation of a municipal fiber internet network, and was able to share with us that a company has been selected through a state contract to conduct that study for us. It should be happening over the next 3 months, and we'll report back with the conclusions of that study, but it will let us know both the feasibility in terms of the logistics and investment that will need to be made, as well as what they find in terms of residents' openness to having that type of option in the city, and what type of rates they could expect. So we're looking forward to that. Also had a COVID-19 response committee meeting on March 29th with Commissioner Carlton Harris, as well as several members of the council, including Counselor Edwards and I believe Counselor Whitfield was there, and Counselor Allen. We heard an update from the commissioner relative to the city's continued response. Obviously, we are seeing a lot of changes relative to the pandemic, but the commissioner was able to share with us that they continue to make rapid tests available to the public through her office, as well as the Springfield libraries, and gave us a little bit of an update on their outreach that will be going on now that we're seeing the warmer months upon us, to try to increase the vaccination rate in the city, as well as address the booster rate for individuals who are eligible for boosters. We did have another Maintenance and Development Committee meeting, but I'll let perhaps Counselor Fenton speak to that, since it was a joint meeting with General Government and was relative to a piece of legislation that he is leading.
Counselor Fenton, thank you, Counselor Letterman, for that report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Letterman's right. The Maintenance and Development Committee met jointly with the General Government Committee to talk about speed bumps. I regret that I don't have my notes regarding that meeting with me, but we did discuss the status of an ordinance that I drafted a little bit over a year ago, accepted testimony, written testimony into the record that I've procured from surrounding communities as a result of outreach to Amherst, West Springfield, Holyoke, and Northampton. And as a result of that meeting, I exchanged a red line version of the ordinance with Director Signoli, and I hope to have a draft before the council for our consideration at our next meeting.
Great, thank you, Counselor Fenton, for that report. Are there any other reports this evening? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to accept the reports?
On accepting the reports, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the reports have been accepted. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, have we recognized Counselor Davila?
I believe we have yes.
Yeah, okay, he just rejoined. All right. All right, with that, the first item, please.
The first item on the agenda is the February revenue versus expenditure report.
All right, if there's anyone present to speak to this, please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. President. Patrick Burns, 90 Clement Street, Springfield. Tonight, you have the February revenue versus expenditure report for your review. This represents the first 8 months of the fiscal year. Year-to-date, revenue is at 541 million or 69% of budget. And the expenditures are at 519 million or 67% of budget. Also, I wanted to give the council an update on the snow and ice budget. Through February, the city has spent approximately $1.3 million and has approximately $308,000 remaining in the snow and ice budget. Naturally, that doesn't take into consideration any expenditures we've had in March. And hopefully we don't have any more snow events and we can end the year with a slight surplus.
All right, thank you, Pat. Are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll to accept the report?
On accepting the report, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton. Counselor Fenton. Away, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes. Counselor Fenton is unmuting. I don't know.
Yeah, Counselor Fenton, we're not able to hear you at this time. Madam Clerk, please proceed.
Counselor Williams.
Yes, the report has been accepted. The next item, please.
The next item is the February Law Department expenditure report.
Pat.
Thank you, Mr. President. Patrick Burns, 90 Clement Street, Springfield. Tonight, I'm presenting the year-to-date expenses in the $5 million appropriation for excessive force and police misconduct expenses. Year-to-date expenses total 591 million, leaving a balance of 4.4 million in the appropriation. Attorney D'Souza has joined me this evening and she can answer any questions on any specific expenses.
All right, thank you, Pat. Counselor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Pat and Attorney D'Souza for joining the Finance Committee today. I didn't report out on it because it wasn't anything, you know, that really needs to be reported on that they can't handle. But Attorney D'Souza, can you just talk about the two cases that were paid out, just so the council are familiar with the two?
Sure. Since the appropriation of the 5 million, we have settled two different cases, both of which we had highlighted in our overview when the money was appropriated. One is styled Bellamy versus City of Springfield, and by way of a thumbnail sketch, it related to an incident that occurred in the lobby of the police department on Pearl Street. And the second was a case involving one of the juveniles from the Palmer incidents. The Palmer case settled in the amount of $262,500, and the police lobby case settled in the amount of $320,000.
Thank you very much. Are there any cases coming up in the near future?
For
to settle?
settlement? For settlement? Yes, we're in the middle of a mediation on one. We had done a couple hours. We took a break in order to nail down some medical questions on the medicals. And that is scheduled for continued mediation, and I think on April 21st, somewhere around there. I'm pretty sure it's the 21st. And I have another case that an attorney reached out to me today. We had attempted to mediate it in Superior Court some time ago. It's scheduled to start trial in July. And I'm hoping that we can resume negotiations on that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Attorney D'Souza. So just to recap, out of the $5 million that were appropriated a couple of months ago to settle the cases, 2 have been settled so far. One for $320,000 and the other for $260,000, correct?
262.
Yeah, that $262,000, the second one you say is from the juvenile, from the primary incident. Is that one juvenile or was that a combined total? for that incident?
Just one. In fact, since this report, so in April, next month, you will see that the second juvenile, one of the other juveniles has also settled. It's in the next month's reporting, and that is in the amount of $295,000.
Okay, so
But that
out of
didn't
those,
make the report for tonight.
okay, so 3 cases have been settled basically out of that pocket of money.
Correct. And then the additional expenses that you see on the report are for costs of experts and stenographers, outside counsel for those police misconduct cases.
Right. All right. Thank you, Attorney. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. And Attorney D'Souza, are there any other questions at this time? It's seeing none. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On accepting the report, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the report has been accepted. The next item, please.
Next item is petition for Eversource, Mill Street and Locust Street.
Please state your name and address for the record. Mr. Velez, are you here to speak to the petition? Mr. Velez?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, 1956 Parking Street, Hector, Valles.
Thank you.
Locust and Mill, this petition is from Eversource. No, let me look at it here because I don't have the agenda here. That's Mill and Locust Street.
Yes, it is.
Okay, this is from Eversource to relocate conduit and manhole related to water and sewer project at the corner of Mill and Locust Street.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Velez. Are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On accepting the petition, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the petition is approved. Next item, please.
The next item is item number 4, petition for Comcast on Locust Street.
All right, Mr. Velez, this is Main Locust.
Yes. This petition from Comcast is to relocate a conduit from Locust Street to Fort Pleasant Avenue. They're gonna be on the sidewalk, is related to the water and sewer project too.
Okay, are there any questions from counselors? Seeing none, Counselor Fenton.
Mr. President, if there's no objection, can we take these all together?
If there is no objection, we can hear items 4, 5, and 6. Okay, with no objection, Mr. Velez, feel free at this time to speak to Madam Clerk. Actually, I'll defer to you for items 5 and 6. If you could just call them at this time, please.
Item 5 is also for Eversource gas on Wilmot Street, and item number 6 is for gas on Melha Avenue.
All right, Mr. Velez.
Yeah, both are replacing and upgrade the gas item 5 to plastic and upgrade the low pressure to medium pressure.
Right, are there any questions on either 4, 5, or 6? All right, seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll for the petitions?
And approving the petitions, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the petitions are approved. Madam Clerk, item number 7.
Item number 7 is for a HUD Continuum of Care Grant, no match in the amount of $6,470,000.
All right, please state your name and address for the record.
Jerry McCafferty, 43 Woodlawn Avenue, Northampton. I am here before the council seeking acceptance of this grant from HUD for the next fiscal year. This $6.4 million is to support programs that respond to homelessness. They are housing programs predominantly, and the funds are used for rent and staff costs for supportive services. They're pass-through grants that go to about 12 organizations in the community. This grant is for all of Hampden County. There is some funds within the grant that supports the city of Springfield staff for administering the grant.
Thank you, Ms. Cafferty. Are there any questions at this time from councilors? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the grant.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Allen, second by Counselor Letterman. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On accepting the grant, Counselor Perez.
I have to recuse.
Recuse, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the grant is approved. Thank you, Ms. Cafferty. Madam Clerk, the next item, please.
The next item is EOHHS Youth Homelessness Grant increase in the amount of $1,763,178.
State your name and address.
Jerry McCafferty again. This is a state grant, $1.7 million, which also funds homelessness programs, also pass-through funds that come through the city. The agencies funded on this are Gandara, Center for Human Development, and Valley Opportunity Council. What this grant does is it adds an addition, this has been an ongoing grant. This adds an additional $450,000 for the current year, and then it provides our funding for these programs for FY '23 and '24.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the grant.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Walsh, seconded by Councilor Letterman, I believe that was. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
On accepting the grant, Counselor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the grant is approved. The next item, please.
Next item is the fiscal year 22 Shine Grant Amendment increase, no match required, in the amount of $79,163.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Sandy Federico, 1285 Bradley Road, Springfield. Good evening. I'm just presenting tonight for council's acceptance of a Shine amendment in the amount of $79,163.73. This amendment would be in addition to our current grant. And the funds will be used in the areas for program supplies, office supplies, advertising, contracting and training counselors, and searching for the recruitment of bilingual and retirees.
All right, thank you, Ms. Federico. Are there any questions at this time? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Allen, seconded by Councilor Perez. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
On accepting the grant, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the grant is approved. The next item, please.
The next item is an order authorizing a contract over 3 years for lease purchase financing of school computers.
All right, is there anyone present to speak to this? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Paul Foster of 29 Dartmouth Street, Springfield. Thanks for having me this evening. As I do every year, the Springfield Public Schools, we execute a lease each year in order to acquire the laptops that are provided to students and staff. So we replace our laptops on a 4-year basis. And so I'm coming before you to request permission to execute a 4-year contract with HP Financial, who provide the lease financing for the purchase of the laptops for the new year.
Thank you, Mr. Foster, for joining us. Are there any questions at this time? Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you. Mr. Foster, so you come before us each year, so there's certain ones on different schedules, or do you get them all during the 4-year contract?
So we refresh or replace 25% of our fleet annually. And so I come before you every year because we're executing a new lease each year, but each lease is for roughly 25% of our fleet.
So it's 7 million. So about 28 million to replace all of them, or maybe up closer to 30?
Yeah, no, thanks. That's a good point and a good question. Actually, our typical lease is closer to 5 million, but we had made some changes into our laptop program as a result of the pandemic, where previously we were 1-to-1 in grades 3 to 12, and now we're 1-to-1 in K to 12. And so for this 1 year, it does increase the quantity of laptops we need to purchase as part of the lease. But typically, our annual lease is about 5 million. And so the program, and this is all devices for all students and staff in the district, is about 20 million over 4 years. So 5 million per year.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank you, Paul, for all the work that you do, being your counselor. I want to commend you. You definitely do a great job and continue to do the great work. Thank you for all the hard work. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Paul, for the presentation. You know, I think this is a wonderful program, and I think people need to hear about this. So just to clarify, so we all know, this means that every student in the Springfield schools gets a computer to use in school. Is that correct? Is it all grades K through 12?
It is. Previous to the pandemic, it was every student received a computer to use in grades 3 to 12. With the pandemic, we made that K to 12, and actually we provide iPads in the pre-K. And in terms of in-school, we pre-K K1, those devices are provided in school. From 2nd through 12th grade, students are allowed to take those home.
Okay, that was going to be my other question about whether or not students could take them home. Do they ever get to keep them, or they pass them on as they go through each grade?
They keep them for the 4 years that they have them. You know, if they're in the district over the course of 4 years, they would keep it for those 4 years, and then they would get a replacement in the 5th year, since we refresh them every 4 years. So they do hang on to them.
Okay, and I would imagine that the kindergarten students, they know how to use them. It seems young people have a lot of expertise with computers.
Yeah, it's definitely, they're amazing what they can do with them, but we're teaching them how to use technology as they go.
Okay, now, do you get any grant funding for this? Or is this strictly a school budget expense?
It is strictly general fund. It's something the school committee had decided, and we've been doing this obviously for a number of years in the grades 3 to 12, right. And it was something the school committee decided was a worthwhile investment. So it's been the general fund. I will say, throughout the pandemic, there was some emergency connectivity funding that came through the Federal Communications Commission that we did access in order to get some additional replacements and parts and things like that.
Yeah, well, I think it's a wonderful program, and it should be heralded. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Whitfield.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Councilor Walsh sparked my memory, or sparked my brain, I should say. What happens after the?
Let's go to that.
Yeah, thank you. What happens to the computers after the 4 years? Are they recycled, or what happens to them?
They are recycled. Well, I should say, we keep them in circulation for a 5th year and sometimes a 6th year, because in every school we maintain a complement of what we call loaners, because kids being kids, sometimes they're going to forget them at home, or they're going to forget to charge it the night before. So at the end of that 5th or 6th year, that's when we recycle them.
Okay. And is there any discount for the recycle, or no?
We're sometimes able to get a credit. We have to go through a process for the disposal. So we do sometimes get a credit if there's residual value. But after 5 or 6 years of heavy use, there's not always a lot of residual value remaining.
Yeah, it is heavy with these kids. All right, thank you, Paul.
Sure. Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Perez.
Yes, Paul, how many computers are we talking about? Approximately.
So in terms of staff computers, we're close to 5,000. In terms of staff computers that are in regular circulation, and then students about 24,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. All right, it's a lot of hardware. All right, are there any other questions? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Councilor Whitfield, seconded by Councilor Walsh. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
On approving the order, Councilor Perez?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the order is approved. Madam Clerk, the next item, please.
The next item is the FY23 Annual Audit Plan.
Right, Mr. No, if you could just please state your name and address for the record.
Young No, Director of Internal Audit, 50 Enos Drive, Springfield, Massachusetts. Thank you, Mr. President. In accordance with City Ordinance 67-14, I am pleased to present the Office of Internal Audit's FY23 Annual Audit Plan for the City Council's approval. So everyone should have the handout of our audit plan. So I'll turn to page 2 of that handout. I'll start off with our mission. Our mission is to provide reviews and assessments of city departments and programs to improve city operations. I want to point out that the Office of Internal Audit is the only municipal internal audit department in Massachusetts. So we are very unique in that sense. Relative to the powers and duties of our office, the internal audit director could audit any city department, including Springfield Public Schools and the city retirement system, as deemed necessary by the director of internal audit. Moving on to page 2, there are, I want to talk about our resources. There are 3 members in our team. They all do a great job. Our success could not be possible without them. We have approximately 5,300 hours in a given year, and we allocate our time as follow. We spend 50% of our time performing audits and reviews, 20% of our time to maintaining the fraud hotline and performing investigations, and 30% to administrative duties and training. Moving on to risk assessment on the same page, page 2. So we develop our annual audit plan, considering audits that are required by regulations and the results of our citywide risk assessment. So the risk assessment that we use is we develop a model, and we use risk factors that are listed on page 3, which range from public impact to financial exposure. So as you can see, we gave the most weight to the risk related to financial exposure. So this risk assessment model provides our department with a roadmap focusing on those audits that have the most impact on the city. So I want to emphasize that in any given year, issues can come up which mandates deviating from a proposed audit plan. So I'll go on to page 4, onto the actual audit plan. So we'll start off with required and ongoing projects. I'll start off with student activities. Mass general laws require that student activities at Springfield Public Schools be audited every year. They allow the audit to be done by a municipality for 2 years, and for the 3rd year, they want an external auditor to audit those student activities. We do the audit for 2 years, thereby saving the school department approximately $50,000 or $25,000 a year. FY23 is the year in which we are scheduled to do the student activities audit for the school department. We are also mandated by city ordinance to do quarterly investment reviews to ensure that the city investments policy complies with city ordinance as well as mass general laws. We're also required by city ordinance to ensure that the city's financial statements are audited by external auditors annually. Staying on page 4, we do follow-up audits. We want to make on those audits that we had previously done, and we do that just to make sure that we want to know the status of our recommendations and to ensure that they've been implemented. So the follow-up audits that we have on slate for FY23 include Health and Human Services, TJO, Springfield Police Department, Quinn program, as well as bankable OT, overtime. We're also scheduled to have a cybersecurity follow-up review at the city, and that's co-sourced with Wolf & Company. They're the IT consultants that we use to perform that work. So moving on to the next page on performance audits, we're scheduled to do an overtime audit and that's carried over from FY22, and that's to assess the controls over the overtime program. We're also scheduled to do a cash handling audit at CY Arena. We're doing an inventory management review at housing and code enforcement, and this is co-sourced with the city's external auditors. So the external auditors had agreed to look at a couple of programs for this city. So we're using them to get more coverage in looking at departments and programs. We're next on the item, the list is a facilities maintenance audit. We're going to determine the effectiveness and efficiency of facilities management function, both at the city and the school department. We're going to do a performance audit at building and code enforcement, and that's to determine if the internal controls for the department are adequately designed and operating effectively. Going on to the school department, we are going to review the transportation services contract. And that review is to make sure that there's appropriate oversight at the school department in monitoring this transportation contract. That is, we want to make sure that the school is receiving what they pay for. And lastly, we have some time allotted for issues that may come up that we'll have to address. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. No. For that, Councilor Hurst, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to send this audit plan to the subcommittee, to the audit subcommittee of the Springfield City Council. We have yet to have an opportunity to vet the plan and ask Auditor No any questions at this time. So once councilors are done weighing in, I'd like to make that motion, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with my colleague, Councilor Hurst. I just have a question also for the auditor. When you say auditing the actual performances of the schools, I'm still having so many issues as far as everything added up on the different things that's happening in the repairs and maintenance. And then I also am having issues with, I know for a fact, 100% sure, as far as the actual code enforcement people, their books are way behind. I have a lot of people who complain from Girard Ave, and I know for a fact, if we were to check, that system is they got thousands behind. They're way behind. They're not getting to people. So I would concur with my colleague. I think there are some issues that we might be missing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also agree with Councilor Hurst. One of the concerns that I have is that 360 hours are lumped together with mayor and I don't know, whatever other issues. And I would like to see that spiked out. I want to see that a certain amount of hours go to the council, a certain amount of hours go to the administration, because you have the authority to make precedents of which ones are financial or not anyway. But there's times that you've used that pot of hours and it's like whichever ones you choose or first come, first serve. So I would like to see that spiked out. And I think that we need to have further discussion on that.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you for the presentation. You certainly cover a lot of ground with your audits. And did you say it's yourself and two others? It's just 3 people?
That's correct.
And do you find that that's adequate? Have you asked for more people in your department, or you can handle all these audits with just 3 people? It seems like a lot of ground to cover.
We're adequately staffed for now. We do have a big scope because we cover both the school department as well as the city. But as I mentioned previously, we use technology in going through a lot of data. We have this software that we're able to mine through tons and tons of data, which in the past would require multiple staff persons to go through. So at this time, I am happy with my staffing levels. And again, this audit plan is a goal. We may not achieve it every year, but it's a goal that we try to attain. I think I'm happy with the staff that I have. And I do have to mention in the past, we've had staff shortages, but we are fully staffed at this time.
Yeah, that was interesting when you talked about student activities. I wondered why, when I read the report, you actually did, that was something that you did. So you're saying that it's a mandated request?
It's Mass General laws require that student activities be audited every year. And we audit student activities for 2 years. And the third year, we outsource it to an external auditor.
Okay. And now, can anyone request an audit, or are there parameters for that?
So anyone can request an audit. Now, as the director of internal audit, I take the request under advisement to see if there's a legitimate impact on city operations. I do want to point out also that the city council could modify my proposed audit plan by majority vote. When I say modify, they could change the components of this plan. For example, they could add something and take out something, but it has to be approved by majority vote.
Well, that's all good information. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Fenton, followed by Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I'm going to support Councilor Hurst's motion of committee. I think that's appropriate. But I didn't want to let the moment go without acknowledging Mr. No and his terrific professionalism, not just in this report, but throughout. Speaking for myself, I think the city's lucky to have you. So thank you for your continued work. And this is pretty stellar. So thank you. Your department pays for itself, in my opinion, several times over with the value provided. And thank you for the candor as always, but particularly as you just highlighted the council's authority there. My one question tonight is regarding, you say 20% of staff time is spent on the fraud hotline, approximately 1,050 hours. That seemed high to me, and in a way that is encouraging. So does that mean that people are using the city's fraud hotline regularly and it takes a substantial amount of time to staff that?
That's a budgeted figure. So from year to year, we can go under or over. And the fraud hotline is to, we investigate alleged allegations. Some of those allegations may turn out to be nothing. Others could be full-blown investigations, which could take up considerable hours. So
one thing that would be very helpful that I'd like to see for Councilor Hurst's committee report is if you have any figures at how many calls have been made in the last year, maybe the year before.
Yes, at the next audit committee meeting, I will update the audit committee on our activities, including tips to our fraud hotline and whether any of those tips resulted in an investigation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Councilor Allen. Councilor Allen, you're muted.
Sorry. I'd like to echo what Councilor Fenton said about the professionalism from Mr. No and from his department. Appreciate that. I am just following up on the point you made, Mr. No, about this is the only internal audit department in the state of Massachusetts. What do other cities do? Do they just outsource when they have something they want to look at, or could you just talk about that a little bit?
Right. So there are some larger cities like Boston and Worcester, where the internal audit resides with the city auditor. The city auditor has dual functions. They keep the records and books. They also audit the records and books. We believe that presents a conflict of interest because you can't. It would be there would be a conflict if you were to audit your own records. So when the control board in 2008 took over the city of Springfield, they restructured this city auditor to comptroller in the Office of Internal Audit, making the audit department, it's a separate department where they have free reign to audit the books and records of every department while being independent. And there are some smaller cities that will outsource the internal audit function, but that has a cost to it. But we think, well, I believe most departments try to do some audits under the city auditor function. But I want to point out that the city of Springfield operates very much like a Fortune 500 company, in that these Fortune 500 companies have their own internal audit departments.
Well, that's great. So you're saying that there is an audit function in the bigger cities, like you mentioned, Boston and Worcester, but it's kind of combined with another financial oversight department.
Yeah, which we believe presents a conflict.
Yeah, clearly Sarbanes-Oxley legislation, and more in the private sector, clearly supports what you're talking about, having a separation. So that's good. My other question is, we have outside auditors that come in and audit our books at the end of the year. Do you have any relationship with them, or is there, collaboration between you and the outside auditors, or is that totally different?
We try not to duplicate efforts. So areas that they audit, we try to not audit. So they focus a lot over at the school department and looking at grants, federal grants. So we would typically stay away from areas that they take a look at. But in terms of my independence from the external auditors, I'm completely independent from them. But we do work collaboratively in that we try to not duplicate each other's work.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Those are my questions. Thank you,
All right,
Mr.
thank you. Thank you, Councilor Allen. We have a motion from Councilor Hurst that was made. Is there a proper second on that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fenton. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on sending this to the Audit Committee?
On sending the FY23 audit plan to the Audit Committee, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Williams.
Yes, the item has been sent to the Audit Committee. Madam Clerk, the next item, please.
The next item is a resolution called the Fair Share Amendment.
All right, I believe Councilor Letterman, I will pass it to you. And I should also say for the record, before you speak, since it's not a report on committee, but it's a report out on a birthday. It is Councilor Letterman's birthday today. So I do want to say that before I forget.
I was hoping we could sing at the end like we did.
Yeah, that's completely appropriate.
Yes, we got to. Every birthday.
Thank you.
All right,
for that.
Councilor Letterman.
Happy birthday.
I'm looking forward to the musical selection, and there's no place I'd rather be than here with all of you serving the people of the great city of Springfield on my birthday. And that's one of the reasons why I'm proud to have worked with so many of you to bring this resolution forward. Earlier today, somebody asked me what I might be hoping for my 27th birthday. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to share it with you and those watching. I think we all share these goals. We want every child in Springfield and cities like Springfield to have access to the highest quality education and school resources possible. And we want teachers, paraprofessionals, and school staff to be able to afford to live and raise their families in the communities that they serve every day. I want those same students to be able to thrive in an affordable public higher education setting that works for them, whether that's a 4-year state university like the one that my wife and I graduated from, or a technical training program at one of our incredible community colleges that are gateways for so many. I want to see our roads throughout Springfield paved at a faster rate, and I want to see our infrastructure redesigned and reimagined to become safer for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. I want to see our regional transit authority funded like the public resource that it is, and it should be, so that it can focus more on expanding bus routes and runtime frequency and reliability. I want to see high-speed rail to Boston to open new economic opportunities to our neighbors and connect families and communities across our Commonwealth. I know these are goals that we all share. I know these are issues that we all hear every day from our constituents about and experience in our own lives and through our families. We have 2 other resolutions on the agenda tonight that speak to the challenges we face when it comes to these goals and demonstrate the urgency of the moment to make these investments in our Commonwealth's future. And we also know that these investments will take resources. They will take funds. And we know that working families are already being asked to pay too much and receiving too little in return. That's why we've brought forward this resolution in support of the Massachusetts Fair Share Amendment, which will be voted on by all of us on the ballot in November. The Fair Share Amendment would amend the Constitution of the Commonwealth to create an additional tax of 4 percentage points on the portion of a person's annual income above $1 million. And that new revenue, $2 billion or more a year, would be required to be spent on quality public educational, affordable public colleges and universities, and for the repair and maintenance of roads, bridges, and public transportation. And to make sure that the amendment continues to apply only to the highest income earners who have the ability to pay more, the $1 million threshold would be adjusted each year to reflect the cost of living increases. I'll close with this, Mr. President. For too long, investment in bedrock resources like public education, transportation, and infrastructure have been underfunded in our Commonwealth. And that has hit cities like Springfield the hardest. At the same time, millionaires and billionaires continue to benefit from those same resources while enjoying record profits from our labor and expenses. It is time to balance the scales in the Commonwealth and ensure that the wealthiest among us pay their fair share towards investing in the public resources that are foundational to the success of our communities. Thank you, Mr. President, for this time. I also want to thank Tracy Little from the Springfield Educators Association, our paraprofessionals, and Jackie Velez from Jobs with Justice, who testified in support prior to the meeting, and to all of those who have co-sponsored the resolution, including Councilor Edwards, Councilor Govan, Councilor Brown, Councilor Davila, Councilor Perez, Councilor Hurst, Councilor Whitfield, and Councilor Walsh. And I think there may be some others that are not yet listed, but who wish to co-sponsor as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. I'm also included on that list of co-sponsors. Councilor Brown, I will pass it to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to say happy birthday also to Jesse, and hopefully you did get those Uggs. They're very comfortable. I definitely want to commend you on all your hard work. This is definitely something that's well needed. You're definitely a great fighter, and I just want to commend you. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you. I was going to raise my hand and say add me, but since I'm already there, I just wanted to say thank you. Happy birthday. And you should definitely consider like doing TV commercials or something like that. Like I will hire you to do some of mine, but happy birthday. Thank you for writing such a great resolution. I think it's definitely needed and I support it 100%.
Thank you, Councilor.
Councilor Whitfield, Councilor Perez, followed by Councilor Walsh.
Yes, I just want to say feliz cumpleaños. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Walsh.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, and happy birthday to my former neighbor, Jesse. We could have had a cake for you if you were still over here. Councilor Letterman talked about the people that came to the public speak, and I think if you listen to their testimony and talked about the hard work that they do and how difficult it can be for them, it makes so much sense to support this amendment and hopefully all the goals that we are hoping for and the new revenues that would come in would improve the quality of life of so many people that work hard for the city of Springfield, but don't always get a return on what they do. So we had wonderful testimony at the public speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I myself, I join my colleagues in wishing Council Lehman a happy and blessed birthday. May the Lord continue to bless you in all your endeavors. I have to say, Mr. President, that I am proud to co-sign this resolution. I've always felt that, let's be realistic, if you cannot survive with $1 million a year, you better look at your lifestyle. This extra 4 pointage is only going to help to improve our education and impact so many lives and so many people throughout the Commonwealth. So I am proud to stand and to support this resolution. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Davila, Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yeah, Jesse, I was wondering if you could just give a status of, what happens with this if the next thing is a referendum in November. Is that it? And if you could just play it out from there.
That's correct, Councilor Allen. So this will be one of the ballot initiatives for November, and then if it is successful in passing, like all ballot initiatives, it'll go through the legislature for implementation.
Will it be implemented because if it passes? Does that mean it?
Yes, it's a binding ballot initiative.
Binding. Okay, great.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? All right, seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Councilor Walsh, seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the resolution.
On approving the resolution, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes, and that was seconded by Councilor Govan because I didn't unmute. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, Councilor Williams.
Yes, the resolution has passed. The next item, please.
The next item is a resolution titled Notification of Economic Development Projects.
Councilor Walsh, I'll pass that to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's not my birthday, but I certainly hope I get a present at the end of this resolution. I just want to give you a little history and my thought process on this. Obviously, the catalyst for this was the recent city council meeting regarding 1331 Elm. I've always supported that project, the Court Square project. My husband had an office in that building. I know how historic it is. I know that one of our wonderful corporate citizens, Peter Pignelli Sr., always wanted to see development there. So I've always supported it, and I supported the unions. But when this came up for a vote, I think it was 2 weeks, maybe a week ago, I didn't want to vote for it. I was so upset at the way this was handled. The fact that people knew in January that there were overruns, that there were problems, that more money might be needed, but they didn't alert the city council to almost 2 weeks before the vote, even though they had this information since January. And then I felt we were put in a position, we were forced for a vote. But the frosting on the cake was the fact that if this didn't pass, if this transfer of 6.5 million, if this didn't pass, it was going to be the fault of the Springfield City Council. To me, that was enough is enough moment. You know, this isn't the first time that economic development plans for major projects have come to us and people say, you've got a week to decide, you have to vote on it tonight. If you don't vote on it, it's not going to pass. Well, I think the time for that has passed. I think it was disrespectful to the city council to have it presented in that manner. I also don't think it was fair for the taxpayers. Councilor Whitfield had some information that night, was never even discussed. People didn't have an opportunity to see if there are other funding sources or other things that could be done. So I think it's time for the city council to be treated as a partner. I can't think of any major economic development projects that do not need council approval or support. So I am sponsoring this resolution, which I will read, requiring notification to the Springfield City Council, not only just for us, our particular council, but for future councils, so that they'll have the opportunity to deliberate. Because I think this council does a very good job of deliberating and looking at all sides of the issue and making informed decisions. I've heard many of you say, you know, you want to make an informed decision. Well, you can't make an informed decision if you don't have the tools. And we weren't given the proper tools. So my resolve reads, whereas the Springfield City Council considers, reviews, assesses, and approves economic development project for the betterment of Springfield. And whereas the Springfield City Council has the fiduciary responsibility to evaluate and deliberate how our citizens' tax dollars are being spent. And whereas the Springfield City Council has repeatedly been asked to vote on major economic development projects without sufficient or adequate notice and without benefit of public input. Now therefore be resolved that the office of the mayor will inform the city council at least 30 days in advance of any economic development item requiring city council action. Further resolved that the failure to notify the city council within a minimum of 30 days will automatically trigger a referral to a committee meeting until a full public hearing can be scheduled. And I look for your support and input in this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Hurst, followed by Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Councilor Walsh. If I'm not already a co-sponsor on this, please, Madam Clerk, if you could add me. I think, Councilor Walsh, what you just did was you did something about the actual issue at hand that I think everybody at the time was struggling to really deal with. $6.5 million is tough for anybody to swallow, when we know that $6.5 million could have gone towards the residents. If we were going to sell it and if we had to vote on something, we at the very least needed time to digest it, to understand it, and then to convey it back to those constituents who are going to bear the brunt of this $6.5 million not going into their pockets, but into the pockets of the developers. And so I hope that this is just a start. You shouldn't have to have a resolution. That's base. It should just be done as a matter of courtesy. But the fact that you have a resolution, because that hasn't been done as a matter of courtesy, and because it provoked you to put forward a resolution, I'm hopeful you'll take it a step further and actually codify this into law. And I certainly will support that as well. So thank you, Councilor Walsh, for all of your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Brown, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. And if I'm not on that resolution also, I'd like to be added. I'd like to also commend my colleague, Councilor Walsh, for her work. This is something, as far as any political organization should have had in place a long time ago. It's the only way you can really work. There's been a lot of issues that I've seen even before I became a counselor. And for the council not to be notified for some reason, like I've noticed when I've gotten, when I came here, that we're not notified about a lot of these things, and it gives us the ability now to not only us notify each other, but to also talk to the neighborhood councils, talk to the community, get everyone involved. So sometimes if we say, hey, we couldn't fix it, we couldn't work it out, and then they say, okay, we got to pay 6.5 million, we know we collectively did what we could do. Because a lot of my colleagues, they come from backgrounds where they're very sharp people, where we might have been able to figure something out. So I definitely am in full support of this. This is something we should have had in place. It enables us all to work together to figure out some of these issues to best help our constituents. Because I was upset about the actual decision the last meeting also. So I definitely commend my colleague. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, if I'm not already a co-sponsor, please, I will kindly ask that my name is included in this resolution. I also look forward to this being codified for oftentimes, Councilor Walsh did say, we are not giving ample time to have a healthy debate and healthy conversation to ask the questions that need to be asked. So unfortunately, this is what we are. It needs to be done because at the end of the day, we have a fiduciary obligation towards the taxpayers of the city of Springfield to ensure that not only the money and the tax money is used efficiently, but also that the services that those tax money it's provided, that they're used and they're provided accordingly. And so I am troubled that we need to do this because you will think it will be sort of the Captain Obvious thing to do. However, I agree. I have a hard time with some of the stuff that has been happening, some of the way that we're asked to approve the money. And I have to say, it seems that whenever they want to find pocket money, in my opinion, they push it through. And recently we have suggested a $3.4 million for free transportation in 3 routes, and that was quickly turned down like that. So we need to make sure the money gets to the people, that the money is effectively used. And so I'm more than happy to co-sponsor this. My compliments to you, Councilor Walsh.
Thank you.
Councilor Davila, Councilor Allen, I put your hand down. Councilor Allen, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you. Councilor Walsh, I just want to say good job on this. Nice job taking action on it, and I will support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think everybody said what I was going to say, Councilor Walsh, but I want to thank you personally for taking immediate action because I was very hurt. I was upset. I wanted to just comment on some of the remarks that Council President Williams made. We all have separate lives outside of the council, other jobs, other responsibilities, and things like that. And the amount of research that I had to do in a few days took away from some of the things that I could have been doing with my family. And that was very hurtful to me, but I thought it was important enough to get the truth and the facts out here for the people, so the people are aware of what's happening on a government level. We have a fiduciary responsibility to do our due diligence and do our research. And so as the chair of the Finance Committee, I took the time to do that and present the information as I came across it. And I just want to thank you because you wasted no time in getting this resolve written and on the council agenda. And I know that took away from your time and your husband and your family and the things that you have going on as well. But you thought it important enough and you were upset enough to make it happen. So I not only support it, but I support you. I'm so glad to be on the Women's Commission with you. And I love your tenacity and I love your expertise and experience on the city council. And so thank you so much for the hard work that you do. And I may not tell you that enough, but I do admire you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Councilor Whitfield. Are there any other questions or comments at this time?
I would like to make a comment, Mr. President. There's another way of looking at this notification too, because the way the vote was presented, the fact that if the vote did not happen. It would be the fault of the Springfield City Council. Not only do we have a fiduciary responsibility, but we have a responsibility to ourselves as a body to let people know that we are doing our job. And language like that doesn't present the city council in a good light. So I think there are many benefits to doing this, not only our responsibility to the taxpayers, but ourselves as hardworking city councilors who should be part of these projects that go on, because we all have the same goals. We all want what's best for the city. And you're not going to accomplish that. I mean, look how many of us were upset. I don't usually get mad, but as Councilor Whitfield said, the way this presented, it was very hurtful.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to then approve the resolution.
So move. Second.
Motion made by Councilor Govan, seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
On approving the resolution, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Williams.
Yes, and Madam Clerk, can you please add me as a co-sponsor to the resolution?
Yeah, I don't believe any sponsors were listed, so I would welcome anybody who would like to be a sponsor. I'd appreciate that.
I hope I said me. I think I did.
Thank you.
Is anyone opposed to being listed as a sponsor? All right, with that, Madam Clerk, everyone please be listed. Next, we'll have Madam Clerk, the next item.
The next item is a
Councilor Hurst?
resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. I thought I was on this item for the next. Madam Clerk.
The next item is a resolution titled Paraprofessional Resolution.
All right, Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. And first, I want to highlight those other individuals who have co-sponsored this particular resolution and who also have been advocating on behalf of our paraprofessionals regularly. Those individuals who co-sponsored, as I have them in front of me, are Whitfield, Letterman, Walsh, Davila, Govan, Williams, Brown, Allen, Perez, and Curran. If I missed anyone, please feel free to raise your hand in the chat and we will add you as a co-sponsor. For those who don't know, I was an educator in the Springfield Public Schools as well as an administrator for over 10 years. I know the value of our paraprofessionals. I know what they bring to the table. I know that they ought to be paid for the work that they do. As an educator in the classroom, there were many times in which I relied on our paraprofessionals to help me be able to educate the very students in front of me. Sometimes they deal with some of our most difficult students, and yet they come in every day with a smile on their face, ready to learn, ready to educate, and ready to make sure that all of those students in front of them get educated and certainly are better off to become productive citizens in the city of Springfield. So their work cannot be understated. We ought to appreciate them. And certainly coming up on the heels of Paraprofessionals Appreciation Day, I could think of no better way than to honor our paraprofessionals than through this resolution. I'd imagine my colleagues who have co-sponsored will agree. So with that said, Mr. President, I'll read this resolution into the record. Whereas on September 1st, 1980, 100 teachers' aides in the Springfield Public Schools formed their own union, the Springfield Federation of Paraprofessionals. Whereas 41 years later, our membership has increased to over 700 and includes certified nursing assistants, licensed practical nurses, certified occupational therapy assistants, paraeducators, and physical therapy assistants, and their mission to provide the best support for children they serve has remained unchanged. And whereas paraprofessionals in Springfield provide a variety of student support services based on their qualifications in the areas of licensure. And whereas paraeducators assist licensed educators with classroom instruction, provide individualized support to struggling students and students with disabilities, monitor bus arrival and departure, and help to maintain order throughout the school. And whereas CNAs assist licensed educators in the classroom and provide direct personal care to those students in need of that support. LPNs provide nursing services for schools, classrooms, and individual students. COTAs work with the OTs and implement the occupational therapy strategies that will support students they serve. PTAs perform components of physical therapy, procedures, and related tasks to their students as directed by supervising PTs. And whereas they all build strong relationship with the students who look to them for social and emotional support and often work quietly behind the scenes to ensure a quality education for all students, whereas many paraprofessionals are also Springfield residents with children or grandchildren in the schools. As such, they are directly invested in their schools and the success of their schools. And when the bell rings at the end of the school day, they take pride in the fact that they have done their part to build a better community for Springfield families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Springfield City Council, in honor of National Paraprofessionals Appreciation Day on April 6th, show our support and appreciation for the vital work paraprofessionals do on a daily basis and stand in solidarity with their demand for a living equitable wages for all Springfield paraprofessionals. And I know for some of my colleagues, this will not be the first time that we've been on the front lines advocating for our paraprofessionals and educators in general, as we did so when we were looking for them to receive merit pay, which I know some of us are still fighting and advocating on their behalf to ensure that they potentially are able to receive that pay as well. So thank you to all my colleagues for co-sponsoring and supporting this initiative.
All right, thank you, Councilor Hurst. And Madam Breckman, just for the record, can you please just add Councilor Fenton and Edwards to the resolve as co-sponsors? Councilor Brown, I'll kick it off to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank my colleague, Councilor Hurst. A great job. I believe the paras definitely need people to shout out and scream. I believe that it's been an injustice for a long time. I believe when it comes to fighting mental health and violence and things that afflict a lot of our youth, this is where we can actually combat it. You have to now support the front end. You have to be more proactive. If you support it when it comes to the people who are in direct contact, these individuals are raising they're help raising our children. You think about when some of these children are having a bad day at home, these individuals are the ones who are helping them. So I believe that we have to be proactive. We have to give and invest our money. If we invest it in our paras, they'll help a lot of the issues. If we can make them happy, get more paras, that is how we combat a lot of these mental health, a lot of these violent issues. Let's support some of these heroes who have direct contact with these individuals and our children. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Councilor Letterman, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and thank you to all of our colleagues, who have signed on to this resolution and anticipate its passage. I have to say that getting to know so many more paraprofessionals as they have fought and advocated for their contract has been such a great honor and given me so much insight into what they do in our classrooms every day and really what their goals are for our children and for our school system. Many of these individuals aspire to one day become teachers. Many of them are making it possible for teachers to do their jobs. But they're also sharing with us stories of the fact that they're having to work multiple jobs to be able to continue to afford to pay their bills and support their families. And we cannot expect these individuals to be able to move forward in their careers when they're not making a living wage, which is why I was excited to see while we were debating this evening or speaking on this 18 minutes ago, the Springfield Federation of Paraprofessionals posted that they are happy to announce they've reached a tentative agreement to their successor contract, and they're scheduling a ratification vote and sending out that MOU to their members. I'm hopeful to see that MOU, and I hope that it helps them reach what they've been striving for. But they can know, regardless of the outcome, that they have demonstrated some of the best community organizing that we have seen in this city in many years. And I was proud to stand with them at the rally last week to hear from them about what their demands were, and grateful to work alongside all of you. Shout out to Kathy Mastronardi and the negotiating team and all those that we met last week as well. And one last thing I'll say, I was speaking with Kathy last week at the rally, and came across my mind was the late Antoinette Pepe, who started as a paraprofessional in our school district, became president of the Paraprofessionals Union, and then served for many, many years on the school committee, and was somebody who inspired me as a younger man when I was even younger man than I am now. And so, she understood the power of organizing. I know she'd be very proud to see what these individuals are doing in our city. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Letterman. Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Govan.
I don't know what's happening. Okay. Hi. Thank you, Council President. I want to say to Councilor Hurst, well done. Ever since you and I were contacted at about the same time about what's going on with the paraprofessionals, you have been on it. We have had a Zoom meeting with the paraprofessionals with over 100 folks on that Zoom meeting. So I want to say to all my colleagues that have been there, Councilor Letterman, Councilor Govan, and I know others were there, Councilor Davila. I want to say thank you and well done as well. So there are certain times when we should stick up for individuals, maybe not billionaires and millionaires, but there are certain times when we should stick up for individuals. And this one happens to be one. It's close to my heart. I have paraprofessionals in my family. And so they were so proud to see us willing to fight for them on so many levels. On essential pay, Councilor Hurst, Councilor Davila, when we stood up and we said, this is only right, this is only fair. They have our most prized possessions in their hands, and yet we don't reward them as they do. This is not right that they, when they go on summer break, they don't get paid. They cannot collect unemployment on school breaks and summer breaks. It is not fair that they don't make a livable wage. So they have to work multiple jobs to feed their families. So while they take care of ours, they can't be home for their own because they have to work another job in order just to take care of their household and pay the bills. So they've given us all this time, taken away from their own families and their own life to make sure ours are taken care of. And we need to take our folks, the residents of the city of Springfield, into consideration when we think about essential pay, when we think about transportation, and when we think about other housing initiatives and impact homelessness and all the things that's really impacting the residents of the city of Springfield. And we need to consider saying no to the same old players and the same old folks that's getting these government contracts to what they say make the community better, but it's market rate, and it leaves out the elderly and it leaves out the disabled because there's a working apartment contract. So that means you have to work. Well, what about our seniors that don't work and are disabled that can't? They don't get to enjoy the luxury of 31 Elm Street downtown. So we need to consider all these things before we make haste decisions because of pressure or because of friendships that when folks are rich. And let's consider folks that's struggling, the working poor that have families that they need to take care of. So I'm very proud to be a co-sponsor on this. I know I said it from the beginning, although I wasn't added on paper. You know, Councilor Hurst, in my heart, I have been here with the Paras from the beginning. And although I couldn't make the rally and every single thing, I'm always there in spirit. And I am so proud to be on it. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Govan, followed by Councilor Walsh.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Councilor Hurst, thank you very much for writing this resolution. You know, this is something that is near and dear to my heart. Our educators, our paraprofessionals, our school staff who are, like everyone else said, you know, basically raising our future. You know, it seems like for some reason we are always kind of like catching up. You know, I think James Baldwin said it's easier to raise strong children than it is to fix broken men. And what we're doing when we're compensating our educators, compensating our paraprofessionals, our staff, we're raising strong children, and that's what we need to be doing. I'm just hoping that this could be an impetus for us to continue doing this kind of work, continuing valuing what we're supposed to be valuing, as opposed to, you know, sports and all that other stuff. I always say, and I said it before, you know, teachers and educators should get paid what the professional athletes get paid, you know, because they're raising our future. You know, they're raising our future leaders, and we need to continue on this trend. So thank you so much, Councilor Hurst. Thank you, everyone who's supporting this.
All right, thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with all the remarks that have been made regarding paras, but I just want to say that, you know, as a former teacher and also having family members who have been paraprofessionals, anybody that has spent any time in a classroom, it is not always an easy job. And to have the support and the help of the paras, you know, Springfield always had the reputation of having the best education in the state, quality education. And if you have people who are working, who aren't making a living wage, but when you listen to what some of these paras do, I mean, I'm sure a lot of us on this Zoom call today couldn't do what they do and do it cheerfully. We're lucky that we have people that will fill these slots. But what's important here is, and I think the point was made, the majority of paras are Springfield residents. I think that makes this even more important, that we support them, that they get a living wage. And just think, living wage, what does that mean? That means that some of these people that work for us, they can't afford, as Dr. Whitfield said, they have to have 2 jobs so they can feed their families. But you know, it's almost unconscionable not to give the paras not only a living wage, but I think they should get, I hope their contract gives them more than they asked for. And I would support that.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. I agree with this resolution. I can't, some of you probably don't know this, but I taught in the Springfield Public Schools, 1975 through 1977. Some of you were not alive then, but I was. And I remember the paras who helped me. I taught at Eastern Avenue School and at Howard Street School. And I remember Debbie and Audrey and Ann. They were my aides during that time. Particularly in special ed classroom, aides are in there with you the whole time. And I can remember them and how important they were. So I'm glad that the paraprofessionals so I'm glad to support this to get the paraprofessionals a new contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Are there any other questions or comments at this time? Seeing none, Councilor Davila.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. You know, I'm proud to sponsor this resolution. This is just justice for the paraprofessionals. And not only are they, just like the teachers, teaching our children our most precious asset for the future for us here in the city of Springfield, but also let us not forget that they are still teaching in the middle of a pandemic. The pandemic's not over. They're still in danger. And we all know that according to the numbers, proportionally speaking, the schools are tend to have higher numbers of COVID-19 cases. So I'm proud to support this. I'm still disappointed that they didn't get full justice as it came to so-called merit pay. But I am proud to support this. And I want to say to all the paraprofessionals and all the teachers, thank you. Thank you for being heroes. Thank you for teaching the next generation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Davila. At this time, I'll ask if we have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Counselor Govan, I believe that was, seconded by Counselor Davila.
Correct.
Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
On approving the resolution, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown. Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Williams.
Yes, the resolution has passed. The next item, please.
The next item is a resolution titled Free Transportation Resolution.
All right, Counselor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. And first of all, I would like to highlight those individuals who helped to create this proposal and sponsor this free transportation resolution. Councilor Davila, Councilor Whitfield, Councilor Govan, and Councilor Walsh. These individuals were literally my riding partners on the PVTA this past Friday. And so we were able to get a firsthand look as to what the potential impacts of this particular resolution would have if the mayor chooses to implement it, and what the impacts of this proposal would be on the residents of Springfield. First, Mr. President, I just want to let folks know that my intentions are to send this particular resolution to the Finance Committee in hopes of refuting some of the misinformation that has been put out there in terms of whether this can happen and whether it can't. I think it can happen if folks have a will to make it happen. It's happened in many other cities throughout the Commonwealth. So our proposal is to make the B7 bus route, the G2 and the B6 PVTA bus lines free for the next 2 years as a pilot program, with the ultimate goal of making public transportation in the city of Springfield free for all riders. The rough costs, and these are not, these are just rough. This program is roughly $1.7 million per year and $3.4 million over the course of 2 years. All of the data that I'll be presenting here today briefly and that I sent to you all were based off of ridership numbers sent to me from the administrator, Sandra Sheehan, at the PVTA. She has indeed looked at this proposal and certainly thinks that the numbers were accurate, at least in our conversations. The proposed source of funding, the pilot of this pilot would come from the American Plan Rescue Act funding. And just to highlight a few of the benefits, making these 3 bus lines free would benefit residents in all 8 wards of the city who rely on public transportation as a means of mobility, and serve as a way for the city of Springfield to utilize the American Rescue Plan Act money to have an instantaneous impact on the residents of Springfield. Now, we certainly have doled out some other portions of the American Rescue Plan Act money, but it has taken a lot of time, and it has not benefited the individuals who, in my opinion, need this money most through the methods that we have in place now. And in fact, our seniors have not received any RFPs or have not been funded with any money as of yet that I know of, nor have any households. And so this plan would immediately benefit households. We know that free transportation for these routes would provide easier access to full-service grocery stores, high schools and colleges, COVID-19 testing and vaccination sites that were difficult to get to during the height of the pandemic, healthcare facilities, banks, libraries, community centers, and critical community support services for those individuals who are struggling to make ends meet. those same individuals who we are hoping would benefit from the 6.5 million that went out the window the other day, would be able to benefit immediately from this funding. Those individuals that are struggling with rising taxes, utilities, groceries, rent, prescription drug prices would now not have to pay or worry about paying for transportation on these 3 routes. And then I'll conclude, Mr. President, by saying it's well documented that many of our essential workers on the front lines of COVID-19 relied heavily on public transportation to get to and from work and to access essential services like education and healthcare. Many low-income families who ride the bus, the data shows, spend nearly 30% of their household income on transportation expenses. This pilot program would serve as a way, which I've said before, to get ARPA funding into the communities and individuals who need this money most immediately. Currently, Boston, Worcester, and Lawrence have already begun a pilot program for free transportation in their respective cities, and there's no reason why the city of Springfield can't take advantage of it. And then finally, this pilot program would put the Pioneer Valley Transit Authority in position to take advantage of federal and state funding and compete for $5 billion in competitive grant money through Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and Senator Ed Markey's Freedom to Move Act if it is passed at the federal level. So while this will go to committee to address any of the questions and concerns based off of the data that I've sent to you all earlier this evening, I think we ought to figure out how to make this happen. And I think it's an important start in the city of Springfield for us to really invest in our communities who need us to invest in them most. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you, Councilor Hurst. We'll get to the councilors and then dispose of your motion. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will be supporting the motion to go to committee, but if you allow me, Mr. President, first, let me say that I am proud to stand with this resolution and with this effort for immediate economic justice here for the city of Springfield. I have to point out, sir, that one of the bus routes, the G2, goes right through smack in the middle of the X, right through my district here in Forest Park. I also have to say, Mr. President, that I'm a little disappointed, and I have to publicly address the comments from a local administrator here who says that this will create a decrease in revenue for the PTA. That is completely disingenuous. If anything, Mr. President, we are guaranteeing revenue for the PVTA at the tune of $1.7 million per year. So there will be no reduction in revenue for the PVTA. I want to demystify that right away and put that out there because there has been kind of an immediate confusion and disingenuous campaign out there. I also have to say, Mr. President, that in this proposal, any of the 3 routes that we are proposing, the people are going to have the choice of at least 3 supermarkets, sir. 3 supermarkets, which is going to allow them to buy cheaper, and it's going to allow them to pick fresh vegetables and fruits, which is so critical and will address the food deserts that we have here throughout the city. Mr. President, when we were doing the bus route recently, we all met 2 people that touched me. One, a young man named Nathan, Mr. President, who goes to Commerce High School, and he spends $60 a month on transportation. We met another young lady with 2 kids. She spends about $300 a month on transportation. We have given a lot of money out, and recently we gave out $6.5 million for a developer. We can definitely have an immediate justice, something that will immediately impact people throughout the city of Springfield, people who are the most disfranchised, people who have very low income, to help them with transportation here in the city. We all know, Mr. President, I've always said, every great city from the Aztecs to the Mayans to the Romans, they all share one thing in common, and that is that they have the ability to move people in and out of their cities quickly and efficiently. By God gracious, if they did it, so we can do here in Springfield. And I strongly ask the mayor, and I strongly recommend to the mayor to please reconsider your position. Don't put this money on the pillow. Give it to the people. Make this program a reality. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila, for that. And when you start to quote the Mayans and the Aztecs, listen, I might, I know.
I got a little carried away, Mr. President, but I'm passionate.
Your Western Civ classes at BC.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Perez.
Yes, I just want to say that, you know, I'm here to work as a team. I'm gonna thank Councilor Hurst for sending this to committee, but I was impacted of seeing some of the councilors and not inviting myself, and I speak for myself, to have this tour. I wish for further future, please send notice to all, because of this weekend, I have to be answering to the people in the community and not having the information. I just got the information. And I also would have made some input into not only to the grocery, but the ward that I serve. I have a majority of elderlies that goes to see the medical doctors. We need to, in that committee, discuss also this concern that I have. But for future reference, please let us know, because I was asked questions and I was not knowledgeable what was going on until I saw what was going on in the media itself. I do support sending it to committee because I have some other questions, and I think at this point, anything that impact the community, us as counselors should be aware of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Mr.
Councilor
President.
Perez. Councilor Walsh. Oh, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Hurst.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, because what I was going to say that, you know, I think it was a great idea. And, you know, to actually get out there and talk to the residents and some, you know, I was particularly moved by a young boy who was going to one of the middle schools who said that, you know, if his mother didn't have the money for the bus, then he had to walk. And, you know, I was surprised by that. I mean, I thought most of our school children had transportation, but I agree with Councilor Perez. I was going to suggest to you, Councilor Hurst, that you do more of these tours, and that, you know, the whoever on the council wants to go could go, because it was really, not only was it refreshing to meet with residents, but I think the residents, first of all, they were surprised to see us on the bus, but I think they were happy that the councilor was taking it to the people. So I would encourage all my colleagues to go on one of these bus trips, and maybe we could do other routes.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Hurst, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add to Councilor Perez. I take full responsibility for that, Councilor Perez. In the throes of trying to coordinate everything, I emailed the mayor, out of all people, to let him know that we were riding on the bus, and I unfortunately left out the council, and so that was completely on me. And you know, certainly we will do additional bus tours in the future, and don't take it out on any one of the other co-sponsors, as I was the one that was responsible for coordinating this. And so my apologies, and we'll certainly make you aware of the next tour, as I think Councilor Walsh has a great idea. We should do more.
Thank you, Councilor Hurst. Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Govan.
Thank you very much. I think all counselors would benefit on going for a ride when it was like meet people where they're at. I mean, this was a true statement, a true testament. We met low-income people, people with disabilities, homeless people, students, parents, babies. We met every population on this bus trip. And it was like a disservice to write in the Republican, well, if someone wants free pizza, they're going to say, yeah, there was no comparison to the need of transportation to free pizza. And I was very disappointed in that comment. Of course, folks want free transportation because I definitely take for granted that I have a car. And when that car breaks down, I can use my daughter's car, my mother's car. Like, I don't have to figure out how I'm going to get on the bus. But these individuals have to figure it out. The young mother that had the 2 kids have to pay $15 a week for her children's bus pass, and they may travel 4, 5, maybe 6 blocks most just to get to the school. From Walmart to the school, this is where they have to travel. Just to get her kids to school, she has to pay this. And that's the young lady that Councilor Davila was talking about that paid $300 a month just to get her kids to school, to work, go back to get her. And that's not to mention what happens on the weekend when they have to go grocery shopping or do their laundry or any of the other things that they have to do, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments. And, you know, all this needs to be taken into consideration. I said I haven't been on the bus since high school. And so I've been taking it for granted for all that time. These folks don't even have the luxury. The homeless man that I was talking to, he was like, you know, $26 a month may not seem like a lot to you because I get a discounted bus pass, but when I only bring home $526 a month, that $26 can go to my survival, And he was homeless. And all these things we take for granted. And so when I say I'm very disappointed in the administration, because whenever we ask for any type of funding to help the most disenfranchised population in the city of Springfield, we get a fast no. It's a quick no. I asked for relief for the elderly and low-income homeowners that are barely affording their property taxes, if affording them at all. Quick no. Essential pay for the school department staff. Quick no. Hey, maybe we can eliminate the trash fee for a year or two. Quick no. Give the paras a raise. We got to struggle. We got to fight. We got to fight. Give free transportation. Quick no. And when it comes to making the rich richer, this is not how the administration is supposed to work. They're supposed to be for the people. That's the title, the people's mayor. Do what's best for the people then. Instead of giving non-essential workers and all the department heads that work in the city of Springfield $5,000 raises, give to this transportation initiative. Instead of giving the superintendent of the school a raise year over year over year, no matter how he's performing, no matter if half the school in his district is cut and he doesn't even oversee them anymore, still give him this raise, already making a hefty salary of $288,000 a year. Give him a raise. But free public transportation, we got to fight for it. Why do we have to fight so hard for the people that we're supposed to be protecting the most? The most disadvantaged, disenfranchised folks are who we're supposed to be protecting, but we're not protecting our paras like that. And we're not protecting our homeless like that. And we're not protecting the folks that we should be protecting. The folks that this ARPA funds should be going to, we're not protecting them. We're not doing the right thing with this $123 million. And that's why I will continue to dig deep to find out what you all are doing with these ARPA funds every month, every 2 weeks, however long it takes. And we're going to publicize it. Do the right thing. That's all I ask from the administration. And that's what I ask from counselors too. Please support things that's doing the right things for all the people in the city of Springfield. So I am proud to stand with Councilor Hurst, Councilor Walsh, Councilor Govan, Councilor Davila, Councilor Perez, if you wanted to be on it, and anybody else wanted to co-sponsor later when you get all the information that you need. We have to start doing the right thing by the residents of the city of Springfield. This is the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. And thank you, Councilor Hurst, for bringing this forward. I think this is something that we can use as an example to move forward and to stop, I think, being behind, just like with the paras, just like our schools, we always have to catch up, or we have to find funding to fix what we knew it was gonna break, you know? So this is something that I think will benefit the entire city. It will benefit the environment because like I said on Friday, you know, if more people rode the bus, then we would be saving on the emissions, you know, gas emissions. If other cities have noted that when we have this pilot program, people who have cars decide to get on the bus, you know, and that would increase ridership. It will decrease gas emissions. People are struggling, you know, people who work, people who have cars are struggling to put gas in their cars with the high price of gas, high price of everything. So this might be something that will help them. You know, this is something that I said on Friday, this would put ARPA money right into the pockets of people right now. And that's the reason I'm supporting this, because for a long time now we've been talking about this ARPA money and how the residents are supposed to be able to benefit from it. You know, residents don't know how to fill out an ARPA grant application. You know, I'm out here in Indian Orchard trying to help them learn how to do that. And helping them learn how to do that. The city doesn't have the resources to help people learn how to do that. You know, so this is something that I think it could be immediately resolved, and it would help the environment. And like I said, Councilor Hurst said it, you know, this would set up the city for the benefits of having billions of dollars come to the transportation industry because of the proposal that State Rep, I think Yana Crawford, Presley is putting out there, you know, and it's something that would set us up to do something better in the future, you know. So this is, I think, a win-win all around, and I think it's something that really needs to be done. So I really encourage our counselors and our administration and the PTA administration to support this resolution. Thank you, and I agree with sending it to committee for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Hurst, would you like to make that motion at this time?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to send this free transportation resolution to the Finance Committee.
Right. Motion on the floor has been properly seconded by Councilor Govan. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on sending this to the Finance Committee?
On sending the resolution to the Finance Committee, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Councilor Fenton. Away, Councilor Williams.
Yes, the.
Sorry, Miss Councilor.
Sorry, I'd like to be a yes. I couldn't hit the button in time. Sorry.
Yes, Councilor Fenton. Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Williams.
Yes, the resolution has been sent to committee. Madam Clerk, is there any further business for the council at this time?
There is not.
All right, again, Councilor Letterman, happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Councilor Letterman.
Happy birthday.
I was going to get away with it, but this is karma because I think that I initiated the happy birthday to the president. So I've gotten what I did.
Well, it seems a bit kind of funny. I believe like the last week, I know Councilor Hurst was in, I think we've all had meetings the same night as our birthdays.
Oh, wow.
The tradition has begun.
There is no greater gift.
All right, everyone. Well, have a blessed evening.
Night, everybody.
Night. Enjoy, Jesse.
Good night. Good night.